City. Wow. This has been a really amazing time, especially I've been thinking about this for a few years, but didn't really execute until the last, I would say, 6 weeks. Been thinking about it for 10 weeks and more, but I just had some reason, something pushed me, and I definitely want to thank one of my friends, Patrick Charles. He kind of inspired me to do this because I was kind of like waving back and forth, and then something happened, and then I just felt like nothing will stop me, and then I just created it within 6 weeks. And I really can't thank everybody one of you. I mean, you guys have been so wonderful to just speak from the heart, and today we have a great blind amount of speakers. So today is En Vivo Summit. What is En Vivo? En Vivo means in Spanish going live. So we're right now on YouTube live, and we have a great panel of speakers and keynote speakers as well. First, keynote speaker is Kathy Hackle, and then we also have Steven, the salon guy. So that's going to be really exciting. Now, I want to introduce you to Kathy Hackle. She does it all. She does it all. She goes, I mean, she is the first, I would say, the first Latina in the United States and America for virtual reality, augmented reality. I mean, literally. You are doing it for all the women around the world. I really am saying that right now. And you're doing it in front of, especially in En Vivo, so I cannot wait to hear your keynote speaking right now. So, let's start with Kathy Hackle.
I want to start by saying that I'm losing my voice, so I'm going to do like as much as I can here with my voice. Guys, I'm really excited to be here. Just a couple words about me, for those of you guys that don't know me. I am a marketing futurist. I'm a published author. My book's coming out in a couple weeks on VR marketing. And I actually just got hired to be a virtual reality evangelist for HTC Vive. Representing all the women in tech here, very excited about that. So I'm gonna talk to you guys about VR and AR marketing, and I'm gonna start with a small clip from the movie Captain America: Civil War.
Father's flying us to the Bahamas for a little getaway.
We might have to make a quick stop at the Pentagon, right? Don't worry, you're gonna love the holiday annual commissary. You know, they say sarcasm is a metric for potential. If that's true, you'll be a great man someday. I'll get the bags.
He does miss you when you're not here. And frankly, you're going to miss us. Because this is the last time we're all going to be together. You know what's about to happen. Say something. If you don't, you'll regret it.
I lived again. And I know you did the best you could. That's how I wish it happened. Binarily augmented retroframing, or BARF, God, I gotta work on that acronym, an extremely costly method of hijacking the hippocampus to clear traumatic memories. It doesn't change the fact that they never made it to the airport, or all the things I did to avoid processing my grief. Plus $611 million for my little therapeutic experiment. No one in their right mind would have ever funded it.
So the reason I start with this clip is because a lot of people have watched this movie and I've never really paid attention to this. But I'm going to tell you guys that things like this are already being worked on. Like this seems impossible to a lot of people, right? Right? But things like this are already being worked on. I have the pleasure of doing a lot of work with some startups in Silicon Valley. And some of the things, that they're doing are crazy. People always think, they come up to me, they're like, virtual reality, augmented reality, and they think, oh, Iron Man or Minority Report. And like, guys, it's closer than you think. So can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I like to start with, with some definitions. Just for show of hands, how many of you guys here have tried virtual reality? Okay, so pretty good number, that's awesome. How many of you guys play Pokemon Go? 2? Okay. How many on Snapchat? Everyone, I'm guessing. So this just comes to show that a lot of people here have already tried these technologies, or maybe you don't even know you had tried them with augmented reality. It happens like when you're using the lenses on Snapchat. That's augmented reality. So virtual reality is pretty much an immersive environment that you can only get access to through a virtual reality headset that blocks out the real world. So pretty much virtual reality creates a new world that you come into. And in some way it hacks your brain into thinking that you're in this new environment because your eyes believe what they see. So some of you guys have played VR games, you know how immersive and powerful this technology is. And then augmented reality is like I explained with that Pokemon Go, where you are looking at right now it's through your phone, you're looking at the real world, but there's a digital element, there's a digital overlay. So there's something that's not really there. And right now we're doing it all through our phones. Eventually it's gonna come up to glasses, and also displays. So you're going to be seeing a lot of that in the future. We're nowhere close yet, but just to kind of start with some definitions. So next slide, please. One of the biggest things that I'm here to share with you guys is that there's a shift in content happening, okay? We're moving away, and people are like, really? We're moving away from 2D flat content to content that is 3D, 360, and sometimes holographic. A lot of people are like, Star Trek, the holodeck. I'm like, guys, that is something that people are working towards right now. I know it sounds crazy, but in my industry, we're making the impossible possible. And this graph over here is actually something that Mark Zuckerberg showed during the F8 meeting in California. And he talked about how, when you used to travel, you would go to Italy and you would text, your mom, your girlfriend, whatever, hey, this place is awesome. Then eventually we could send pictures. Then we started doing video. Now it's live video, we're live on YouTube. But eventually it's 3D and 360 and augmented reality. So this is the shift that is currently happening, and if you don't think it's happening, you are being very naive. So, I was having a really cool conversation here with a few folks on how I define the transition. We're going to move away from what's called storytelling, where you're just a passive recipient of the story, to what I call story living, where you're actually going into that experience and into that story. It's something called reactive content that is being worked on currently. Hollywood's already putting a lot of money into this. And what I can tell you is that what eventually is going to happen is a little bit like those books that many of us grew up on with like choose your own story, right? You're eventually going to go into a virtual reality headset, and you're going to be able to go into a movie like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, to just kind of give an idea, and you're going to be able to experience that movie from either Brad Pitt's perspective or Angelina Jolie's perspective. I know it sounds pretty futuristic, but this is already being worked on. And with augmented reality, it's story doing. I'm going to show you guys some more examples of what I mean by story doing and story living. But truly, it is, I don't think we've ever had a technology that allows us to really walk in someone else's shoes in the way that these new technologies allow us to. Can we go to the next slide? I mean, if you could pick up your phone and kind of have it tell you where you need to go, that'd be very, very useful. So, in travel, Marriott had a really cool campaign. I don't know if they did it in New York or not, but they had the virtual reality headsets, and they had couples who were going to get married go into the experiences. They had asked them where they wanted to go on their honeymoon prior to that. And they went into these things that were the headsets, and they were transported to Maui or Bali or wherever it is that they wanted to go. So it's kind of like taking them to their destination before going. You bet that after they saw that, they booked that ticket, right? Because it takes you there. So pretty impressive technology. So, can we go next slide? Okay. This is a company. Is it playing? Okay, can you play it? I'm not sure if it's playing. Okay. Right now, you're probably wondering, what is that? Like, I'm not really getting what it is. This is a startup in Los Angeles called AR Wall, so Augmented Reality Wall. these people are getting their foot in the door with all the huge Hollywood studios because they have come up with the next, let's say the next iteration or the future of the green screen. They are able to cut down on post-production in like, I think it's like 40%. So it's pretty much, yeah, they're able to do augmented reality and VR without goggles. This is a company you need to keep your eyes out for. They're disrupting the entertainment industry, okay? And the reason I show you this, a friend of mine runs it, but I've been really impressed with what they're doing. So it's basically cutting down on all the virtual effects and on having to shoot on location because it's responsive. So they're crushing it. And as I understand it, the next iteration of what they're going to do is going to bring augmented reality into our TVs, really outside of our TVs. So pretty crazy. All right, next one. So with shopper marketing, oh, can you stop the video for a second? Sorry. This is actually one of my clients. Can we go back one? No, one slide to the, that one, shopper marketing. I'm going to show you guys a video of one of my clients called You Visit. They're here in New York. And they did a campaign with Swarovski, with the crystal maker, that has a line for the home. And they partnered with MasterCard, with MasterPass. So you can actually start shopping in virtual reality. So you're like, why would I want to do that? Well, because, for example, with this collection, it's very, very unique crystal pieces for the home. They're not going to have them all over. They don't have showrooms everywhere. So they can bring this to someone that's in the Arab Emirates, or where it is, LA or whatever, and people can actually go into this virtual reality experience and see all these pieces and buy directly there. So can we show the video, please? Thank you. Check out the headset. Some blame there. Bought something in virtual reality using a remote. Eventually it's just going to be your eye gaze. Where you look in the experience, either augmented or VR, is going to improve what you're going to purchase. So yeah, let's go to the next one. So with a lot of, I know some of you guys are influencers, or are trying to get into influencer marketing or become an influencer. So ICM, which is based in Orlando, is already doing something called augmented sponsorship. So with this is I'll show you guys a little bit, but their first campaign was with Court, the furniture company where you rent furniture. The reason they're doing this augmented sponsorship, is because instead of deploying X amount of furniture units to influencers, they can deploy augmented reality furniture to people, to a huge amount of people. So this is something that you're going to start seeing a lot more brands do with their influencers. So can we play the little video, please? I was named one of the top 25 augmented reality influencers by ICS, so I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, Kathy.
I always say I'm breaking the virtual ceiling, but You're gonna start seeing a lot more of this. You're gonna see also, if you're on Snapchat, you've probably started to see the little, our emojis now are like animated and stuff. Really fun, but you're gonna start seeing a lot more celebrities getting 3D scans where you're gonna actually be able to kind of like in some way, shape, or form. Not really, it's not a real hologram, but you're gonna be able to have those celebrities kind of like hanging out with you. You're gonna be able to kind of share that. So you're gonna be seeing a lot more of that. It's not that far away. I was just showing someone here the 3D scan of myself, right? It's I'm an actual 3D asset that people can use in every program. So you're going to see that a lot more. You're also going to see a lot more holograms. It says customer service there as well because there's a company out of California as well called Ventana, and they have a holographic concierge. So it's pretty much a display, and it's an artificial intelligence hologram that can do customer service. So you're not just talking to a screen, you're talking to an actual hologram. It's kind of interesting. I didn't have a picture of it, but these things are already starting to get deployed. You're probably going to see that in Vegas during CES. So next slide, please. So before we go any further, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how I got into this. Because you're probably wondering, like, how does this, what? So I come from a journalism background. I worked for many years for CNN, ABC News, Story Communications. And when I was at CNN, part of my job, not the only part, but part of my job was to look at raw footage that was coming in from Iraq. So as you can imagine, I had to watch a lot of horrible stuff. Part of it was like beheadings, bodies of soldiers being dragged through the streets of Iraq. And when you have that type of job, you work any type of job like that, you have to turn your humanities switch off just a little bit. Just a little bit, not fully, just a little bit. And it wasn't till 2 years ago when I had my first real virtual reality experience that I didn't turn it back on completely. I went into an experience called confinement by The Guardian. It's an experience where you're put in a solitary confinement cell where prisoners spend 90% of their time. Very small cell. And I can tell you that within 3 to 5 minutes, I was claustrophobic. I had to take the headset off. And at that moment, it just clicked in me, and I said, this is the future of storytelling. At that point, I didn't know it was story living, but I said, this is the future of storytelling, and I need to be a part of this industry. So that was 2 years ago. That's not too long ago. And I started just really working as hard as I could to get into the industry, connecting. I started creating content, and now, this is where I am. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is, if anything that you're watching here makes you excited, it makes you think like, yay, and say, like, I want to start figuring out how to add this to my marketing strategy, or how to add this to whatever content it is that you're creating, start thinking about it, because we're ahead of the game right now, okay? We're not quite there yet with mass adoption for either of these technologies. So if this is something that is interesting to you, start thinking about, start learning about it, start figuring out who are the players, start doing 360 video, as simple as that. You can, Facebook actually allows you to do 360 photos just using your phone, okay? And I'm sure everyone here has the Facebook app on their phone, mostly all of you, but start experimenting with these technologies because you're gonna see it even more. I was getting ready this morning. I've got 3 kids, and we're at the hotel, and they put on the TV. And all of a sudden, I'm getting ready, they're watching their show, and then all of a sudden it's like these trading cards that weren't Pokemon, or something else. It said, trading cards with augmented reality. And my daughter's like, oh, mommy, they just said AR. I'm like, oh yeah, honey, they did. Next commercial, I kid you not, next commercial is this remote control Jeep with virtual reality. You can actually drive the car. You can drive the car in virtual reality. So the kids can put on a headset and see where the car's going. Like back to back, and she's like, mommy, they just said VR. I'm like, yes, honey. And it's funny because right after that, a friend of mine texted me. She's like, did you watch Scandal last night? It's like, no, I checked out. I was in New York, whatever. She's like, they had augmented reality yesterday on Scandal. So guys, this is happening. This is really happening. People always are like, so is this the next 3D television? I'm like, no, this is not 3D TV, people. This is going to be augmented reality, like Tim Cook from the CEO of Apple says, augmented reality is going to be something that we're going to do just like we do 3 meals a day. It's going to be so ingrained in what we do, we're not even going to call it AR. So just wanted to kind of share that with you. Can we go to the next slide, please? And then I'm all in on VR and AR, but I also understand that these are emerging technologies that are part of this new technological transformation. So for me, VR and AR are going to be powered by artificial intelligence, by 5G speeds that we need, or some of us are already getting, and by blockchain technologies. So not necessarily Bitcoin, but the technology behind Bitcoin. These are all technologies that are coming together and that are going to push this new transformation, and it's happening faster than we think. So just wanted to share that quote with you guys. And then can we go to the last slide, please? I also wanted to share with you guys that I'm launching a new book, my first book, called Marketing Realities, which is an introduction to VR, AR marketing, branding, and communications, because a lot of the people in my industry, we live in a bubble. We talk about VR and AR all day. But when I go out there and I talk to marketers, I speak at a lot of marketing conferences, I see that there's a gap in education or in really understanding how these technologies can be used. So my co-author, who's in New York, and myself, we wrote this book kind of as an educational resource for people that are interested. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And I wanted to close, with a story. So I'm on the board of a small nonprofit called Virtual Relief. And one of the most amazing experiences that I've had is when we take virtual reality to a homebound senior or a child suffering from cancer in a hospital, where they're limited by the four walls that they stay in. And with virtual reality specifically, when you take them, you bring them the headset and you take them to Hawaii, you take them to the mountains, you let them play a game, it brings them so much joy, because just for those 20 minutes or whatever it is that they're in that headset, they're not confined by the reality. So just take that with you and know that augmented and virtual reality are really going to change a lot of the way we do things. So thank you very much.
Wasn't that wonderful?
That was great.
I'm telling you, it's possible to meet Kathy. You gotta be here at En Vivo to meet her. She's wonderful. So next person, we have two people actually. We have Chef Ronaldo. He is one of the sponsors here for the Cuban Martinos. So that's really, I can't wait. He's also a brand ambassador. He represents the Diabetes Association. He believes people should eat healthier, especially for the Spanish-speaking community.
Self-plugs.
So, yeah, we got book signing too. If anybody want to buy a book, you can definitely buy a book and he'll book sign it for you as well. We also have George Torres, from the founder of Sofrito Media Group. The Latino community. I'm so honored to have both of them here. They'll be talking each about 15 minutes about a presentation, and then we'll do a short or a fast Q&A as well. So here you go, guys.
I had to get the last tweet out. Candy, you might want to check it out.
Constantly on that social.
We had me and Ronaldo were playing with VR, Snapchat, augmented reality Snapchat filters where we had to talk and so on.
Yeah,
It's
it's
very
very
fun.
We had him shouting at us, so it's pretty cool.
Anyway, first of all, I just want to thank everybody for being here today. I'm so appreciative of your attention. I don't get to speak into conferences usually outside of my field of expertise. So this is, Kathy, thank you so much for including me. Appreciate it. And I'm very honored to be here with Chef Ronaldo, who is like an amazing influencer in his space. He's come up out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. I said, this looks fun.
He just appeared and took over the scene.
He's a hologram.
I hung out. I've had the opportunity to hang out with I've got the opportunity to hang out with Chef Ronaldo in a lot of different settings and see him grow over the last couple of years, so it's an honor to be here with my brother. All right, so my name is George Torres. I am a community builder. I've changed titles many times over the years. I've been in the space for about 22 years total. I started my blog in 1997 at College at Westbury, SUNY College at Westbury. So I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm of Puerto Rican descent. So I had an identity crisis when I was growing up. I lived in a mostly black community. My family was super Puerto Rican, and I didn't know it. And then I obviously look white. You know, I have blue eyes and I have blonde hair. I have hair. So I struggled with identity early on. But when I went to college, I found that a lot of second generation and third generation Latinos were finding themselves in college. They kind of took for granted who they were at home and their language and everything. And they came into this new space and they were like basically pulled away from their communities and had nothing. So they started missing Mami's Mofongo, and they started missing Hasapao and the different plates that we ate, and they missed certain words. And then they started hearing other people saying these words and they started connecting. And then there's like a cultural renaissance that happens in these dynamics, right? So when that happened, I started taking, I needed an extra class, and I wanted access to the computer lab to make flyers for my fraternity's parties. They had a real brand new Mac lab, and I ended up getting sucked into a web design class, a HTML class. And me and 3 other people who are actually pretty prominent in their spaces today in tech, we all started businesses from that room. You know, I started a website that was my poetry website. It's just where I wanted to kind of express myself, my daily diary. So kind of blogging before blogging was a term, right? Before it was even journaling. And I put it on a platform called GeoCities. Who remembers GeoCities? Yeah. All right.
Old school.
So I had like Madison Avenue, because it was like only New York street that they had. Everything was streets and like Beverly Hills, Soho, like whatever. So I picked Madison Avenue, which is interesting because it's advertising and marketing, right? So I parked my domain there and I started putting my poetry up. And you know, websites were new. One of the things that I always like to talk to mixed crowds about, people who are not really Latino, is that, and I'll ask the question first. Who remembers the first social media? What was the first social media network that you ever came in contact with?
MySpace.
So what would you do if I told you that Asians, African Americans, and Latinos over-indexed on social media 5 years before MySpace?
Oh, what?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who remembers the Black Planet?
Oh, yeah, Black Panther.
Who remembers Asian
I thought
Avenue?
Baby Mom's on Black Panther.
Asian Avenue? Mihente.com. So these websites were actually, they were companies who mimicked the AOL walled garden, so to speak, when the internet opened up and AOL was kind of the Berlin Wall of AOL came down. Right? So when that happened, there was 3.5 million Latinos on Mihente.com. So that said, we were ahead of the curve. And where we are today is we're in a space right now that we still over-index greatly, and the numbers are hard to quantify because they can't even get the census right? But we're in a place right now where politically and from a humanitarian standpoint, the tide is turning, right? So we're in a place right now, and many people, like I said already, I'm Puerto Rican, so I'm from an island that's surrounded by water, big water.
Far away.
Far away. So
far away.
But we're in a place right now where that community that's been disenfranchised for a long time, that has been plagued with second-class citizenship, and it's very evident now when you look at CNN and other media outlets. We're at a place right now that we've never been closer, right? You saw people in the community that were bodegueros, you saw people who are church leaders become logistics experts overnight. And we're landing planes at a rate 3 to 1 to anything that the government's doing. So social media made that possible. So right now, where we stand as a community is where we need to be in a place.
Sorry.
We need to be in a place right now that whatever community you belong to, whatever the pressing issues are in your community, you need to actually kind of tap into what the most basic human needs are and be able to address that. And I'm going to stop right there because I really want, and me and Bernardo talked about this, we're going to really keep our comments about our history and everything to a very minimum, because we want to really open it up for Q&A and really talk about some of this stuff so we could actually give you the most value. So, yeah.
Thank you, we'll switch. A cambiar aquí. Hola, ¿cómo están? How's everybody doing today? Money team, we got Mayweather. Came out. Just like Money Mayweather. But anyway, my name is Ronaldo Linares. Also, people know me as Chef Ronaldo. Earned, not given. My roots are right now in New Jersey, but I was born in Medellin, Colombia. I'm half Cuban and Colombian. We uprooted from Medellin. I was at the age of 9, and at the age of 9, I already saw 6 people get killed. Being an American citizen there in Colombia during the Pablo Escobar times, we I guess we had a leg up because I didn't want any American citizens to get killed. It would look bad, right? So literally within Monday, it was Monday, I'm just making this up right now, but it's like, it felt like that. Like Monday, Dad came in, it's like, this is what's going on, we gotta go. Thursday, I was on Avianca Airlines, the only airlines that flies apparently to Colombia, and I remember looking at the right wing of the plane, and my life changed forever. Landed in Miami, immediately poor again. Like, we were rich, and then just poor. But it never felt like that, because we weren't raised like that. 6 months later, I Amtrak all the way up here to New Jersey, Newark, Penn Station, landed there in March. Like I told George, we talked a lot, as Latinos do. Had great sweatpants on, a purple sweatshirt, and high tops in the middle of the winter with snow. Worst outfit ever. Got into a Suzuki hatchback. Who remembers those little sidekick? There we go, sidekick. Yo, we were 5 deep in there with luggage. The trunk had those bands, I don't know, those extension bands to hold down the trunk, and we made it to my aunt's apartment. It was a 1-bedroom apartment, and it was a total of 8 of us there at that time. And then we had to go to my other aunt's place, which is an attic. But anyway, a year later, we opened up what is Martino's Cuban restaurant now. It's been 25 years and counting. My father finally got here, saved the day as he always does. Not very nurturing, but he was always there for us. You know, that's the truth. He's an old Cuban man, you know. At the age of 62, he had to start again. Age of 62, put this in perspective. My oldest brother was the only one who could work. So at the YMCA, after everybody left, I would sneak in, help him clean up, so we would go home a little earlier. And that was during school nights, right? You know. And that's kind of how my life went. As George here said, I popped out of nowhere. I am a hologram right now. I'm really at the restaurant working. But it's been a journey. 5 years ago, I did a show called Chopped, just to see if this is for me, being a chef. And from there, this started. I started to be like, hey, I speak a lot all the time. Why not do it? I was not very good in the beginning, but I learned. I started to become an influencer. And lately, I've changed that more to a social changer. And this is what we're getting out to Puerto Rico. How are we connected here, right? Besides being Latino, being patriotas. My brother's in Puerto Rico right now with his family, 2 kids, little boy, little girl, his wife. It's been a month since this happened, and not much has been done. Yeah. Even though it seems like it's been, but nothing has really been done. My sister-in-law texted us through the WhatsApp app. They got a signal for that 1 second to let us know that they got electricity, man. Right? Oh, wow! Right? Imagine that. You're running your generator 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night, and that's it. Because that's all you could run it. There's people right now, they look up, they see the sky because they have no roof. They're walking still in water. In 2017. There's a lot of things that we could dig in and everything. But, you know, before we move on to the Q&A, like George said, we really want to kind of dig into this. Want to give a big blessings pretty much to Jose Andres. Yesterday, they served their 2 millionth meal in 1 month. We originally went there to serve a couple thousand meals, pack up and go. But he saw a bigger need. And that's how you, as an influencer, you use influence. Through my influence on my part, to this day, I have sent 5 pallets out of my own accord with using the restaurant and using my influence to Puerto Rico. So it's just We could do it, it's just how we want to do it and how bad we want to do it.
So when this happened in Puerto Rico, obviously I have a lot of roots there. I have a lot of friends, not too much family, but a lot of friends and family that are impacted by what happened. Everybody called me immediately, and there's a context behind that. When Blog Talk Radio first launched, I started the first Hispanic station, radio station that talked about issues, talk show format on Blog Talk Radio. And towards the tail end of the show, so just when I was about to pack it up and move on to another project, Hurricane Sandy happened here in New York. And I have an arts collective in Brooklyn called Kapiku Cultural Collective. It's an open mic in Brooklyn that's been around for about 11 years. And our community was just like, we automatically the people that they call. And just in general, just so you know, I've always worked in management, in corporate. I worked for T-Mobile USA, I worked for Kinko's before the FedEx merger as a marketing director and then a district manager. And one of the things that always happens to me no matter where I'm at is everybody thinks I'm the manager. If I'm in Office Max, they think I'm the manager. If I'm in a deli, like they ask me.
You're not the manager looking.
I don't know how much right? It's some kind of order that happens. It's crazy. So, yes, all the guys come in power, I guess. But what happened is a lot of people started calling us and started asking us, like, what can we do? What can we get a van? Can we go out there? What, there was a lot of confusion. And what we decided to do was we decided to do a marathon, essentially, live on Blog Talk Radio and coordinate relief efforts in the Rockaways and in Long Island. I lived in Freeport, Long Island at the time. So we were coordinating stuff for our neighbors and stuff like that and trying to get things done. I never forget that experience, and I think I won an award, some community award, and a proclamation based on what I did there. And it stood with me. So when this happened, I already had context, right? I had this is bigger. And I get emotional about this one. So it's my grandmother's birthday, and all of this started because of my grandmother. She's the root of what I am today. My grandmother was a community builder in Brooklyn who helped the Department of the Elderly. She's a founder of Meals on Wheels in Brownsville.
Wow.
So I got a chance to work with her weekly. One day a week, I'd come out of school early and I would actually be with her for half of her day. So I got to see what that means firsthand. So when we get to Puerto Rico and this starts happening, I'm starting to think, what can I do? So the biggest thing I have is relationships with brands and companies I've worked with as an influencer, and as a marketer, and strategy writing, etc. So I contacted all the brands that I know and said, what are you doing? How are you showing up here? And as you know, JetBlue is one of my biggest sponsors.